Hi all, welcome back to a weekly roundup of the polity and governance issues once again from October 21st to October 28th. I've been doing this from past few weeks of October and I wish that I even complete the economy part as well. So I haven't started, but very soon in this week I'll be coming up with weekly economy also, where I'll be covering all the main issues which will help you not only for the mains 2024 but also for your UPSC prelims examination and also for the TSPSC upcoming Group 1 examination as well. So today let's have a weekly roundup of, as usual, the governance and polity issues, which is really very helpful from UPSC GS mains. And as I told you, every step, small steps matter the most. So consistency and continuity will definitely give you good results. So having a weekly roundup of whatever you have followed the previous week gone by will only make your preparation more easy and comfortable as well. So let's have a quick review of what happened with regard to these issues. So very important, the post that you're aspiring to, being civil servants. Now recently the government has called in for appointing of Rath Prabaris for taking forward to the people the achievements of the programs that the government has been implemented from the last 9 years, and it is in violation with regard to the Civil Services Code of Conduct and also the Model Code of Conduct as well. Let's look into that. There is the OTT smoking rules now. So smoking regulation rules even will be applicable to the OTT platforms as well. You have the climate change loss and damage fund talks which have failed, and we have the Dam Safety Act, which is in discussion just because recently we had the National Dam Safety Authority visiting Telangana state, and also you have the issue with regard to Project Udbhav of the Defence Ministry and many more issues. So first let's look into the Rath Prabaris. So the centre plan to depute many joint secretaries, directors, deputy directors as Rath Prabaris in poll campaign areas and other states as well, to highlight the government's achievements with regard to programs for the past 9 years. Now the centre has planned to highlight achievements of past 9 years, and the circular was issued by the Central Board of Direct Taxes in October 18, cited a letter from Agriculture Secretary regarding showcasing celebration of achievements of the last 9 years of Government of India through a campaign called as the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra, proposed to be organized all over the country and not only the 5 election states as well. So awareness extending services at the Gram Panchayat level from November 2020 to January 25th, 2024. This program will go on, which is called as Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra. Now, the Election Commission has banned the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra as it violates the Model Code of Conduct in the 5 states that are going to elections. The government plans to rope in bureaucrats in a countrywide mega rally to highlight the achievements, as it has hit a roadblock with the Election Commission in the 5 election states with the enforcement of the Model Code of Conduct. Now, last week the government asked all the union ministries to send senior officials from rank of joint secretaries to directors, deputy secretaries from every district of the country as district Rath Prabaris or special officers to tell the achievements of the government. Now, this is seen as a violation of the Civil Service Conduct Rule, which directs no government servant shall take part in any political activity, and also the opposition party has written to the Election Commission of India, saying that it is a gross violation of the Model Code of Conduct rules because it misuses the government machinery as well. While disseminating of information with regard to the programs is acceptable, but then using the officials to speak about the achievements is a political side of it, and this is not allowed under the Central Civil Services Conduct rules. And also it violates the Model Code of Conduct. It is not acceptable because the Model Code of Conduct was brought in so that the existing government does not take a leverage of using the official government machinery or even the officials for its own benefit, which will benefit it even the elections also. And this is the reason why the Model Code of Conduct, one of the reason why the Model Code of Conduct is also used. So did we have this case previously as well? Yes, we did have this case. As a Model Code of Conduct is not enforceable, it can enforce these rules through the Criminal Procedure Code and also the Representation of People Act and also the Indian Penal Code as well. And one of the very famous cases of using public officials for electoral gains was the Raj Naren versus Indira Nehru Gandhi case, in which a single judgment of Allahabad High Court found the former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi guilty of misusing the state resources and also officials for party and personal purposes during the election, and consequently disqualified the former Prime Minister who was electioneering to contest election for 6 years under the Representation of People Act. The judgment was a trigger then for the emergency also. So the former Prime Minister used the services of one person who was a gazetted officer in the government, his name is Yashpal Kapoor, and he organized electioneering work for her in the constituency during the commencing period of December 1970. Now there are many features of the civil service which have to be followed. So first of all, neutrality, so permanence, neutrality, impersonality, meritocracy and anonymity are the main features of civil services or the bureaucrats. Neutrality means they are neutral and impartial in the work and they will not take political sides. Impersonality is where they will deal with the public not directly but in an impersonal manner, only to do the duty and to provide the services to the public. And anonymity, they will not seek publicity or recognition for their work. This recognition and publicity goes to the government of the day. So these are three most important features of the civil services which come in conflict with the present government appointment of Rath Prabharis for preaching about the achievements of the government programs, and this is about it, and also the previous case. Now the OTT smoking guidelines have been enforced. So on World No Tobacco Day in May 31st, 2023, India took a momentous stride to combat the grave consequences of tobacco consumption. The government expanded the cigarettes and other tobacco products amendment rules, introducing a robust measure to curb tobacco use and its associated health ailments. Recognizing the urgent need to protect the citizens from tobacco-related diseases, the new rules mandated the OTT platforms like Netflix, Prime, Hotstar, etc. to incorporate powerful anti-tobacco warnings in their content. Now, online content publishers are required to display gripping and anti-tobacco spots, each lasting a minimum of 30 seconds at the beginning and in the middle of the program as well. Additionally, they must also prominently feature anti-tobacco health warning on the screen during the depiction of the tobacco products. To further reinforce of the message, an impactful audio-visual disclaimer about the harmful effects of tobacco use lasting at least 20 seconds must be included in the start and the middle of the program, and this is what the cigarette rules speak about. India's resolve to take a decisive action against tobacco is commendable, especially considering that the nation has the world's second largest number of tobacco users in the world. Tobacco causes debilitating diseases such as cancer, lung diseases, cardiovascular diseases, stroke, claiming lives of staggering 1.35 million annually in India alone. And the toll on human lives and burden on the nation economy will amount to almost 1% of the GDP, according to the GATS report of 2016, necessitating effective anti-tobacco measures, and this is one of them. So therefore, on-screen smoking appears to be glamorous and also fabulous, and they include influencing children, young adults, professionals who view tobacco use and also take it as a habit. This is why in 2012, India embarked on a pioneering endeavor to mitigate the impact of on-screen smoking and also tobacco consumption, introducing groundbreaking regulations. Any film featuring tobacco was mandated to incorporate warning and also advertisement or TV spot highlighting the perils of the tobacco use. In the crucial measure displayed before the film's commencement and during the intermission, aimed at raising awareness and also safeguarding the public health, which is a priority for the government and also the WHO. Now, the new OTT rules will have a vast influence because it has a vast audience, significantly curbing tobacco-related harms and also fostering a healthier society. The collective moral duty of the government is to educate the public about tobacco hazards, and India can become a global exemplar on tobacco control by using the regulating of tobacco on the OTT platforms as well. So let me tell you that the staggering viewership of this OTT is 658 million as of February 2022, and young adults 18 to 24 years spend nearly 39 minutes daily on these platforms, and definitely this is going to have an impact. This was said by the Ministry of Family and Health Welfare in support of its steps as well. And this is about the OTT platform rules, that OTT platform that have to implement the tobacco rules. Now, there has been a stall on the climate change loss and damage talks, and the climate loss and damage ahead of the COP28 ended in failure, with countries from global north and south unable to reach an agreement recently. So it was in 2022 that the United Nations Climate Conference on the Paris Climate Change Agreement, or the UNFCCC, more commonly known as COP27 in Egypt, made a landmark decision to establish something called as the Loss and Damage Fund at Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. Now, the decision is considered as one of the vital third pillar in climate action, igniting hope among the global south nations who have been facing the brunt of climate-induced disasters, and for what they need money as well. And this Loss and Damage Fund will provide them that much needed money. Now, what exactly does loss and damage mean? According to the UNEP, loss and damage refers to negative consequences that arise from unavoidable risk of climate change, like rising sea level, prolonged heat waves, desertification, acidification of the sea, extreme events such as bushfires, species extinction, and also crop failures. As the climate risk crisis unfolds, these events will happen more frequently, and the consequences will be borne by the poorer countries. Such damage is a direct consequence of the inadequate mitigation, insufficient adaptation, scenarios that exceeded the current adaptive capacities. The fund therefore is aimed at assisting the communities to recover from the climate-induced disasters. And India, let me tell you, the Global Climate Risk Index of 2021 has placed India in the 7th position, which grapples significant climate challenges. Predictions by the Overseas Development Institution and a potential loss of annual GDP of 3 to 10% by 2100 due to climate impacts will happen. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change further cautions close to 40% of Indians may face the shortage of water by 2050, and therefore they need something called as the Loss and Damage Fund to fund them climate mitigation and adaptation steps as well. But nothing has been nothing concrete has been adopted about how the fund will be set up and who will also contribute to this. So after relentless decades of hope, there was a transitional committee that was set up by the UN to operationalize the fund. This has faltered because the draft recommendations have not been agreed to despite series of meetings, and it has been now postponed. So therefore the Loss and Damage Fund is still need to be developed. It's still on paper only. And let me tell you that some ideas to fund the loss and damage or the negative impacts of climate change are using windfall taxes on fossil fuels by the companies, diverting the money to the people struggling, rising food and energy crisis, and to the countries suffering loss due to the damage caused by climate efforts. Others are calling for a debt for loss and damage swaps, international taxes, dedicated financed facility for the loss and damage, and also United Nations Convention framework on climate change. At the COP26 and 27, philanthropic and country governments pledged funds for the loss and damage, but nothing concrete has happened. And the last one is carbon markets. So carbon markets are another solution to fund the loss and damage, the activities which are happening. So climate mitigation and climate change adaptation as well. So let me tell you that the next COP is going to happen in UAE. So they are looking forward to that. So the countries have expected that the loss and damage fund would be decided prior to the next COP28 in UAE, but nothing much has happened to this, and this is a very big disappointment. The other is that the National Dam Safety Authority has recently visited the Medigada barrage as a part of the Kaleshwaram project in Telangana. Now, dam safety has been a concern in India because recently, because of Sikkim, we had the cloudburst with regard to Sikkim, and also glacial lake outburst flood issue happened in Sikkim South Lonak Lake, which washed away one of the biggest hydropower projects in India on the Teesta 3 dam at Chungtang. And the reports have revealed that there was no early warning systems, there was no risk assessment, also to prevent measures in place required under the Act. The Dam Safety Act includes all of this, and the Dam Safety Act was passed very lately in 2021. It's very important because India has many large scale dams, and one of the reason why the Dam Safety Act was brought is to comply with the safety standards of dams in India. So some of the most important things with regard to, and many of the dams in India are very, very old, almost dating back to the British time as well. So this new Dam Safety Act was passed in 2021, and a glacial lake outburst flood in North Sikkim has once again asked the government to ponder on the implementation of the Dam Safety Act. So the Dam Safety Act was tabled in the Rajya Sabha in 2021. It was a response to need to deal with dam related mishaps, especially in India, and as a response to the deficient surveillance and maintenance causing dam failure related disasters, the act listed responsibilities mandated at the national and the state level to implement the dam safety. So a national committee on dam safety would oversee the dam safety policies and regulation, and a national dam safety authority would be set up. Apart from that, there will be the state's dam safety committee and also state dam safety organization as well. So provisions require the state to classify the dams based on hazard risk, conduct regular inspections, create emergency actions plan, institute emergency flood warning systems, and undertake safety reviews and also periodic system risk assessment systems as studies as well. Importantly, the states were asked to report and record incidents of dam failures. Until now, there is no statutory provision requiring systematic reporting of failures, and no single agency was tasked with tracking this data. However, the Central Water Commission still keeps track of this data, but it is not updated regularly. And dam safety is a function of many parts. So designing and construction of dams should adhere to safety margins. Maintaining and operating them as per the guidelines is very important. Recording data in the real time and also accessible format. Forecasting hazardous events and instituting emergency plans is one of them. So the Sikkim reveals a poor compliance at all levels, and hazard profiling and also regular assessment was also mandated by the Act. Periodic reviews were expected to happen for the fresh inundation of maps and new rule curves, especially all of which contribute to the safety of the downstream areas. So there are certain challenges with regard to the Act as well. Experts say that Sikkim had both not properly implemented the legislation and also the structures as well. It does not promote, the Act itself does not promote risk-based decision making and fails to incentivize transparency. It also adds many other criticisms, like transparency is further obstructed at the national and the state bodies comprising government or employees and engineers who worked on these projects itself, and therefore there is no transparency and objective decision making. Apart from this, many states haven't yet set up the bodies mandated by the Act itself, and the risk assessment of the dams in the country is still not completely done. So these are some of the criticisms with regard to the Act. The next important issue is with regard to Project Udbhav. So the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh had inaugurated the Project Udbhav, an initiative by the Indian Army to blend ancient wisdom of defence in India with the modern military methods for tackling the current challenges. And the name Udbhav means origin or genesis, and embodies the Indian Army's endeavour to revisit the roots of India's military thoughts. And the core objective of the project is to integrate age-old wisdom or old wisdom which we had in the ancient period, medieval period, with contemporary military wisdom as well. So the Indian Army launched this Project Udbhav with the aim of rediscovering the profound India heritage of statecraft and strategic thoughts derived from ancient Indian texts, such as initiated by Chanakya's Arthashastra, Kamadaka's Niti Satra, and Tirukural by a famous Tamil saint poet Tiruvalar, to have insights into statecraft, strategy, diplomacy, and also warfare as well. The project is a broader government initiative to promote indigenization in various sectors, including education, health, and science as well, with a focus on gathering insights on statecraft and strategy, diplomacy, and warfare from the ancient Indian philosophy. Project Udbhav aims to enrich the contemporary military practices and also address modern security challenges while learning from the past. So this is about Project Udbhav. The other most important thing is recently the centre approved 22,000 crores subsidies to the fertilizers. So we also already have the nutrient based subsidy scheme where the centre provides subsidy on nutrient on fertilizers such as nitrogen, phosphatic, potash, etc. So a big relief came from the farmers after the cabinet took the decision of providing a subsidy of 23,000 crores for potash and phosphatic fertilizers for the Rabi season on the account of rise in international prices. So the the centre has approved the proposal recently, and the government is making 25 grades of P&K fertilizers to the farmers available at subsidized prices through the fertilizers manufacturers and importers as well. In accordance with this, the government is committed to said that it is committed to give to ensure availability of P&K fertilizers at very affordable prices in spite the international prices of these products are high in view of the recent trends. The subsidy would be provided to the fertilizer companies and not directly to the farmers, and at the notified rates, so that the farmers fertilizers are made available to the farmers at affordable prices. Let me tell you, the budget projected the subsidy expenditure on non-urea fertilizers at 44,000 crore rupees. In total, the fertilizer subsidy was estimated at 1,75,099 crore. Of this, urea subsidy is estimated at about 1,31,000 crore and non-urea at 44,000 crore rupees. So recently the government has launched nano urea, nano DAP, where there is no subsidy going to be given, and the price of the product and also the quantity to be used is very, very less compared to the conventional fertilizer. So nano urea and nano DAP being developed by our own IFFCO company, that is an Indian fertilizer company as well. And recently upholding the rights of the disabled according to the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act of 2016, which recognizes the wide range of rights and needs of individual with special abilities or disabilities or the Divyangjan, and emphasizes accessibility and promoting health of the persons with disabilities as well. The authority recently the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, FSI, has recommended inclusion of QR code on the food products for accessibility by the visually impaired individual, stating that this will ensure access to safe food for all individuals with in spite of disabilities and special needs such as visually impaired individuals as well. So this is recognition of the rights under the Right to Persons with Disabilities Act. One effective means to achieve this is by incorporating the QR code on the product labels. These QR code should encompass comprehensive details, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India said, which includes not only ingredients but also nutritional information, allergens, manufacturing date, before use, after expiry, use by date, allergen warning, contact information for customer queries, and etc. All these information to be accessed by the Divyangjan also now. And the next most important issue is about the law and order administration in the country, something which is being implemented by with regard to the Criminal Procedure Identification Act to collect the samples from the accused or the convicts, etc. So Centre has introduced now DNA and face matching systems across almost 1,300 police stations in the country. So the provisions, the government had passed the Criminal Procedure Identification Act by the Parliament, and the centre is set to roll out DNA and face matching systems at 1,300 police stations across the country. The provisions of the Act are yet to be implemented entirely on ground because they are logistics and connectivity issues. Now, bringing a big push to law and order administration, the centre is set to roll out the DNA and the face matching systems across 1,300 police stations in the country. Notified the rules under the Ministry of Home Affairs had actually notified the rules under the Criminal Procedure Identification Act. The Act was passed in March in the Parliament, and until the rules are notified, the Act cannot be implemented or come into force. The legislation enables the police and central investigation agencies to collect, store and analyze physical and biological samples, including retina and iris scan of the arrested persons. Now, the objective. So why was actually the bill brought in? The bill was introduced because new measurement techniques were needed, which was not available in old Act. So the new measurement techniques are being used in advanced countries which were reliable, and those could not be used in India because of the drawbacks of the previous Act which was in force. So the 1920 Act, which is also called there was a 1920 Act which was in force previously, and this Criminal Procedure Identification replaces this 1920 Act. It does not provide for taking of bodily measurements and new technologies and techniques also, because that was not developed at that time. The Act empowers the magistrate to direct any person to give measurements, which till now was only reserved for convicts and those involved in heinous crimes. It now enables the police to up to the rank of the head constable to take measurements of any any person who resists or refuses to give the measurements. As per the rules, the measurements include not only finger impressions, palm print, footprints, photographs, but also iris and retina scan, and also physical biological samples and the analysis and behavioral attributes including signatures, handwriting, or any other examination referred to in section 53A of the Code of Criminal Procedure of 1973. Though it had been not specified, analysis of the biological samples could also include DNA profiling. So the National Crime Records Bureau under the Ministry of Home Affairs will be a one-stop agency for storing all of this data which is collected of the arrested persons. The state government can also store the data, but they shall provide compatible application programming interfaces for sharing of the data with the National Crime Records Bureau, which will create a standard operating procedure of how exactly to collect the measurements of the arrested persons and also how to store the data as well. Now, though the Act does not explicitly mention DNA samples and face matching procedure, in the subsequent meetings this has been decided. So as a part of the biological measurements, now DNA samples and the face matching procedures also will be taken up, and they have constituted, the Ministry of Home Affairs has constituted a domain committee for successful implementation of the Act with representatives from the state police and central law enforcement agencies and other key stakeholders as well. So however, there has been certain criticism with regard to collection of DNA and also face matching, saying that it will violate the privacy of individuals, but then it will help in criminal justice system as well. So the NCRP has cautioned against the misuse of the database by ensuring identification and deployment of appropriate safeguards, adding that only designated officials must have access to the data in real time. So, and the last but not the least, and the second last one is, Supreme Court has many a time come to the rescue of the people using special powers. One of the special powers is under Article 142. So what exactly is Article 142? Now, Article 142 allows, Constitution confers unique power on the Supreme Court to do complete justice between two parties where the law may not provide the remedy. So it says that the Supreme Court in exercise of its jurisdiction may pass such a decree or make such an order as it is necessary for doing complete justice in any case or matter that is pending before it, and any decree so passed or orders that shall be made enforceable throughout the country of India. So this is what it says. And now recently the Supreme Court has come to the rescue of a 50-year-old citizen who fought for nearly 3 decades against the Postal Department's refusal to give him a job despite his name being in the merit list. So there was one Ankur Gupta who had everything gone right in his endeavor to become a postal assistant in 1995 until the department grounded his hopes. So he had even completed a 15-day induction training when the government dropped his name off the list, saying that he completed 12th class in vocational system. The department said the rules had been amended to consider that only candidates with a regular system of education are taken in, and then the Supreme Court came to the rescue of this Ankur Gupta and said that the postal department should immediately appoint Ankur Gupta because he would have 10 years of service. And the court held that no one had legal right to claim a public employment, but once the name of the person is on the merit list, then he has a right to be accorded fair and non-discriminatory treatment as well. So this is how there have been many instances how the Supreme Court has used Article 142 to do justice, and also to as sometimes even as this has led to judicial overreach as well. So the 5-judge constitutional bench in May had said that the court can directly grant a divorce under Article 142 to the couples without them going to the family court. In another case, it called for a joint trial of separate cases of the Babri Masjid issue, and also when it imposed a ban on liquor shops which are located in the highway. So this is with regard to Supreme Court using 142, but many a times the Supreme Court ventures out into the domain of the legislature and the executive, where it is described as judicial overreach and also misuse of its powers. So sometimes Article 142 does good, like coming to the rescue of Mr. Ankur Gupta to protect his right to employment. So this is about Supreme Court and the use of Article 142. The last issue is about the urban mobility conference. Now, India urbanization is 35% plus in the country, and urban mobility is nothing but all about the movement of the people and goods in the city from one place to another, both using public and private transportation as well. So the ways to get around the city can be non-motorized like pedestrians, bicycles, scooters, skating, etc., or even motorized like motorbike, car, van, trail, bus, trolley, metro, metro, and these are the most common modes of transportation. So with regard to designing and implementation of efficient and high quality integrated resilient urban transportation system, especially keeping in mind the climate change goals of the government to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, vehicular emission especially, urban mobility, sustainable urban mobility solutions are most important, and that too in the public sector. So urban transport systems, resilient urban transport system are high on agenda on the 16th Urban Mobility Conference 2023, which is going to be held in New Delhi. The 3-day conference is held under the aegis of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, who looks into the urban issues in the country in collaboration with Delhi Metro Rail Corporation Limited, and it will be inaugurated by our Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri. Now the theme of the conference is integrated and resilient urban transportation system. Rapid climate change and impact on city transportation calls for integrated and resilient transport system to meet the mobility needs of the public. The innovations have led to a wide range of transport options to emerge, and thereby widening the choice available to the commuters. The need of the hour is to strengthen resilience of the transportation systems right from the planning stage itself. Government of India already has a national urban transport policy of 2006 of the Government of India, which lays strong emphasis on building capabilities at the state, at the city level to address new challenges associated with urban transport, and lays down the guidelines for developing equitable, sustainable transport system, urban transportation system for all sections of the society. During this event, the government will also give away awards with regard to urban mobility transportation system, with, for example, most sustainable transportation system, best public transportation system, best non-motorized transportation system, best safety and security system, best intelligent transportation system, most innovative financing mechanism, record for public involvement in transportation planning, best freight transportation system, best green transport initiative, best multimodal. So with the types of rewards itself, you can analyze what are the expectations from urban mobility solutions of the government, and also for best passenger services and satisfaction as well, because people are the center of the development. So this is with regard to urban mobility solutions as well, and I hope this roundup was really helpful to you all to have a quick review of those issues which made really important news during the week gone by. And if you did, please do like, share, subscribe, and do not forget to comment, and I shall see you in my next post. Until then, it's very happy learning.